Welcome to 15 Minutes with Dad, the podcast that gives you 15 minutes of inspiration, practical advice, and heartfelt conversations to empower your journey in fatherhood. I'm your host, Lirec Williams, a dynamic career visual and performing artist, professional data system director, and an author who's been a dad longer than any of those titles, proudly guiding a blended family of 4. And here we dive into transformational strategies, real life stories, and actionable tips that helps you navigate the challenges of family life and divorce, all while growing into the best version of yourself. Whether you're looking to boost your emotional resilience, redefine your role as a father, or simply find balance in your everyday life, you're in the right place. So get ready to transform your fatherhood journey 1 minute at a time. Now let's get started. Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is Lirec.
And it's your girl, Mariah.
And this is 15 Minutes with Dad. And today we are having a really awesome conversation together. Mariah has graced us with her presence again. Yay. High five. If you have not tuned in with 15 Minutes with Dad, just know that we pride ourselves in supporting fathers as they learn to become a better father every single day and learn how to build relationships with their family, their kids, their partners, and so forth and so on. Today, we're going to actually be talking about something pretty heavy. And if, just as a trigger warning, if you are having mental health issues or episodes, make sure that you go get the help that you need. We are going to be talking about our personal journey through like coping together in a father-daughter conversation on teen self-harm, because it's real out here in these streets. People are really going through this, and we went through this, and we felt that it was very important to have this kind of conversation with other people as well. So let's get into it. So let's begin with an introduction and why this conversation matters for us personally, and why I think it would be good for the audience. So for and I'll start off. And actually, I talked enough. How about you talk? Because we missed your voice. We missed hearing you. Great. Let me hear it. Just grace us with the sound.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I needed to hear. Nah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Why does this conversation matter? Like, why is it important to you to have this conversation? Because you thought of this, this topic.
I think that's important because, like, I feel like, a lot of parents go through this, and they, like we went through this as well. So like, and we've come out on the other side a lot better, and we have better coping like exercises, and we have better communication about it. We have like all this stuff that like it, like I think like would be helpful for and beneficial for other people to understand, so they're not going into this whole thing like not blindsided, but like
uninformed.
Yeah,
uninformed. I agree. On a personal note, it hits straight home because it was a journey, and it was years of time that we had to navigate it. So it was a huge phase that we had to work through. But I'm really excited to be able to have this conversation, because there was a time where me personally, I thought that I wasn't a good father. I had all the different triggers, and we'll talk about that through here. But there is hope. And I just want to let you know that this is a safe space, and for teens and for dads, and for navigating the complexities of self-harm. So just know that this is a safe space, and we will be candid as we can, but we'll also open it up for questions. So just want to let you know, another warning, like I'm encouraging you to prioritize your well-being. Do not go through this conversation. Do not, if it triggers you at any sort of way, make sure that you get the help that you need. So there is hope, and we're going to get into understanding, coping, and healing. So let's share your personal journey. Let's start with your personal journey. How did you experience overwhelming emotions, and what led you to those previous kind of coping behaviors?
Well, so it started in like 5th grade, and I think what kind of like led to it was like, it was like I wasn't like I felt like I don't know how to explain. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, I didn't get the love that I needed, but I did feel like I was kind of not neglected, but I wasn't getting the attention that I needed.
You can be fair. Be candid as you want, because I'm candid on the other side. So no secrets here.
So yeah,
Maybe
I
some
just
secrets, but no secrets.
I felt like kind of neglected, and I felt like I couldn't go to anybody. So I feel like I was going through all these like emotions. Like, I was at a new school. We had just moved like up here to Ohio, and I just like instead of like, I felt like I couldn't really talk to anybody about it, because I don't know, I felt like that was kind of like a me thing. I don't like, you didn't purposely make me feel like oh, like I don't love you or anything. Like I still felt the love, but I felt like I personally didn't feel like I could talk to anybody, especially because like this was like a new thing for me and all stuff. So
and you were early on in age, and like 11, 10.
I was like 10,
10 years old, and so it was a lot of changes taking place. I was in a blended family. She had to share my love for the first time, like with other kids that also looked up to me as dad, and then we were navigating all their traumas as well. And so like it was a really tough time. My transitioning was hard too, and I was also depressed, and I wasn't able to be there with her. But like that time period, and I tell you this, I didn't notice it. She was using a lot of social media then. I was looking like she was like, doing bad, like failing in school, or like not really caring about school. And I didn't know that she was self-harming. But she didn't really care about herself. She wasn't taking showers. She was like, let me not put you out there like that.
I was like, dang, okay. I was 10 guys.
But there were signs that I did not take heed, and it wasn't vocal. But the things that I was doing that I thought I was helping was actually like surface level. Where we remember that study I made you read about the social media and its impact on brains, and so we did. I had to read through that. We talked to social media. I started limiting her social media, but that was only the icing on the cake. Like the tip of the iceberg. In regards to that, and so her coping behaviors was unknown to me. And I didn't even know that, like, hey, you're probably going, like, at that age, that those are the type of things that is normal. So I just want to say that to parents, like, when a kid is 10, 11, their brains are opening up to a whole new world. And it's important that you are along for the journey, because they're seeing themselves in a space, in a world, and really trying to figure out, like, hey, who am I? Like, why am I here? And then every time you get in trouble, it's like, bro, why am I going through this? Like, why am I even here for this? Like, I don't even have to be here. Right. And, like that real self-actualizing. So, and like, what was it like to open up when... Let me just start off by saying there was no opening up. There wasn't an open up. It was more of like a forced opening. And it wasn't pretty to kind of get that door cracked open. It was more like it was at a turning point where and you can tell about your journey, like where like leading up to the point of like opening up, and like how it made you feel, or like what made you feel safe enough to start opening up more.
Well, like, I know at the beginning, like when you first found out, it was like I told my counselor and she told you. And I remember you picked me up from school early that day, and I was so scared you were going to be mad because I didn't tell you. But then I feel like after that first conversation, like, I feel like it really kind of helped me, like, like I realized like, oh, like I wasn't gonna get in trouble for this, you know, like it wasn't something that I was gonna be punished for, but more like helped. Like I was gonna be more helped, you know, and I feel like that like kind of helped me talk to you a lot more about it, like being more open on.
And when you say it, we haven't even named it. What was it? What was it that your counselor did that, and then she called me? Like, what was it? She did like an assessment on your suicidal ideation. So like how self-harm.
Wait, like in 7th grade?
Yeah.
Or 8th grade?
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, yeah. So my counselor called me down during class and basically did like an assessment to see if I was at risk. It
was mental health week at school as well, right? Wasn't it?
No.
Like it was like they sent like a letter into your class, and then everybody filled out a little paper, and then they got back to her, and then she did an assessment further.
Oh yeah. That was like another time though. That was different. This was like you saw the scars and you like told the counselor. You called the school about it. You told the school about it.
Yeah.
And
that was another time. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a journey.
So yeah.
But how did I find the scars?
It was because I think like there was like this time. It was like after the dance, and I had shorts on. I think it was these shorts on, and like I was asleep or something, like on the floor. And you said like you seen them like cuts, and I had band-aids and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've suppressed all that trauma at this point.
I know it was bad.
So let's kind of reel it back in. So you were saying that you began to feel safe when I approached you in a helping manner and not a I'm upset manner.
Yeah.
And from a father's perspective, I was afraid. I was scared. I was so afraid to lose my child. And that was like, I called the school because I was like, I need help. I don't know where to go from here. I've never dealt with this before, with my child. We've been like, I got help in the middle school, and then we transferred and kind of like kept some support in high school as well. And for different stages of her life, and it's because they're all not the same, but I would say that cry out to the counselor in that moment was like the best thing I probably ever could have did at that time.
Yeah.
Because I like, you know, some parents' egos would burn up and be like, I don't teach my child to do that, or that's for this, or like, you know, like some cultures kind of look at mental health problems as being like a sickness or illness, or it's because you're doing this, or it's because you're doing that. But it was more of like, how do I save my child? And so that's a great point. And like the signs that like, obviously I saw cuts, but that's the end game. That's like that's the deep into it moment. Like there are signs that kind of lead up to those moments. But I was like lucky enough to catch or see something that alarmed me, where she had an extensive amount of like, you know, the self-harm cups, which a lot of teenagers are doing it like that, like little nicks, and not like cutting of the wrist. Like back in the day, we used, you know, when we were older, the goth people, they, you know, not goth, but people were like, you know, suicide it was just a thing that just randomly happened, and it seemed that way. But now kids have information and like access to things, and that they can use to harm. Like the tools that you were makeshifting to do the thing is what is alarmed me more than anything. Like
I feel like I was doing whatever I could just like be able to do that. Like I broke razors just to get the razor out, and pencil sharpeners,
everything sharp, bro. I was on like she was bubbled up. I had like bubble wrap on everything, like bubble wrap on her, and like no no sharp objects in the house. Like I got rid of all my knives.
Yeah.
And I could tell you there were moments, and I made sure that I like poured love into her as much as I possibly could during that time. And even though like I held her accountable, so it wasn't like a soft approach, right? Like we didn't like, I wasn't like hey, I know you're going through it. I just want to make sure you're good. I'll give you your space. No, I was all up in her stuff.
I couldn't even close my door.
Her shit. No, she couldn't close her door. Like she took a shower. I timed it.
Yeah. I had to ask to take a shower.
Yeah,
to let him know I was taking a shower.
You can't just be jumping in the shower. You don't be standing there too long because I don't want what you doing in there. But I invaded her privacy. But we talked throughout the entirety of it of like why I'm invading her privacy, because I don't trust her with herself. And when I tell you, like, for parents that are scared to approach their kids, or for you parents that are scared to kind of like go, and be all up in their shit, the kids still appreciate that part. Like my daughter see me fighting for her life. And so she fought too. And I think that like it went a long way to see that even though it inconvenienced me, I didn't care. Like there were things that I picked her up from school. She couldn't hang out with certain friends anymore. Like I was there. She couldn't, like, I would pick her up. I would leave from work, pick her up, drop her off. She literally went nowhere without me being there. And she wasn't even allowed to be in her room for a certain amount of time. Like she didn't go to her room until bedtime.
I remember that.
Like because I was so afraid. I didn't know what the next move would be. But there's a moment when things kind of shift and we noticed a shift, and it's like she's smiling more. She's being more like she's positively talking about herself, or she starts noticing. You started noticing your friends and how they are not good in that regard, So let's talk about. Actually, let me drive into like mistakes that I think that I made when I got upset at the timing of your progression. Like when I didn't feel like you were changed or shifting fast enough, or anything that I was doing was working fast enough, it made me more frustrated, or like more like aggressive on things that I like, how I didn't want you to like do anything. Like your freedoms were gone, but I feel like what I did wrong is that when you could sense how angry I was at how you were talking about yourself or feeling about yourself, or like, I was desperate. And I feel like those are being in that desperation. I made some maybe talk to you in a way that was counterintuitive, and I had to go back and figure it out and then come back and talk to you. And so those were some mistakes, is like making sure that I'm deliberate about my language, but deliberate about my actions as well. And then I finally got I had to get therapy as well to kind of help me understand how to like, be there and cope with her. So like, and when I'm talking about emotions, like what were some emotions when you were going through, like when you were trying to navigate that space, or you seen me there in everything?
I think I was first I was like really agitated, because I'm like, bro, why are you here all the time? Like, I feel like not like I was overwhelmed by your presence, but I was overwhelmed by your presence. Like you were just there, and like at first I was just like this is doing too much, but then I feel like after like a couple of days or something like that, I was like, oh yeah, I understand why you're doing that. And like I like realized like that is you fighting for me when I'm like, when it's hard for me to fight for myself, Then I think that was extremely helpful for me, because I was like I didn't want you to be pushing for me, but I just give up on myself, and that's just gonna be like you putting all this work and all this time and all this money for nothing, And I feel like that was like extremely helpful. But like during that time, I did feel like, why are you here? Like leave.
Like, bro, like, and we fought so much. And another one of my mistakes was arguing with you during those times. Like, I let you kind of guide the conversations, knowing that it's uncomfortable for you. I kind of fell into those conversations where I'm trying to explain myself, or like, or make you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. But when I say I was aggressive, I was in there, bro. I was like, nah, bro. Where you breathing towards? Don't even breathe in that direction, bro.
Why are you even looking over there?
Yeah, that air ain't even good for you. We over here. We over here with this. But yeah, so like there are some misconceptions about kids that are doing this. Do you feel like, or do you know of any misconceptions that people have of kids that are doing the self-harm stuff?
I think a really common misconception or whatever is people thinking that like kids are doing that for attention,
That's a good one, yeah.
Like they're not doing it for attention. It's more of a cry for help. Like that, like it's a way to get your attention, not like attention like, oh my gosh, like what happened? It's more trying to get your attention to see that they're in pain and that they need your help and they need your love and they need you to be pouring into them more.
That's a good point.
Like, I think that is like a really common misconception.
And I think that I had that misconception earlier on, and it wasn't until there were an extreme amount of them. Because I think we had a talk about it earlier on a couple of times where I was like, hey, stop doing it. Like, why are you doing it? Like, I'm thinking that it's, you're just doing it because it's a trend and everybody else is doing it. But in reality, like, it became this thing, like whenever you felt any emotion, you did it. And I didn't notice that you just didn't have coping skills. And I mean, when I read books, guys.
Yeah.
I read books. I listened to podcasts, did therapy. I had to educate myself on how to save my child, because this did not come with a book manual and like all this. But I read books.
Yeah.
Just so I can be able to like talk in a way that made sense and not for my ego. And some kids, I think, turn to self-harm, like you said, one, because it's a cry for help. Like they're feeling something and they don't know how to navigate those emotions. And the reality is when kids are turning teens, they're having an explosive amount of emotions. And when there's different ways that people tend to cope with things. Like, you may find somebody that's in, like, oh, I'm gonna go work out, or I'm gonna go do this other thing, or I'm gonna go take this walk, or I'm gonna be in this sport, or I like to do this and this is my escape. Mariah was in all of those. She was in sports. She worked out, and all of that stuff. But it was like she turned to self-harm because literally there was emotions, and she had, and those complex emotions. It wasn't like happy, sad. It was more like anxiousness, like the complex ones that you really can't explain. You just feel it, and kind of like, and I'm not trying to talk for you, but like, this is what I've learned. But like teens tend to turn to this because they have no actual skills to cope with. And when I say like coping, I'm talking about like breathing techniques. I'm talking about like these weird things that people may think are like for crazy people, but it's not. It's for everybody. I do them too. So like, can you talk about the silent battle that many teens face that parents may miss for the most part? Like, and you can talk about like from your own personal experience where things where you feel like I miss and I don't understand, and even right today, because I'm still learning you every day. So
I think, wait, what was the first part of your question?
it was like, what like what are some of the silent battles that you think that teens go through that parents may miss?
Okay, I feel like something like teens go through that parents would miss would be like they're going through like so much anxiety, you know, with school, and then if they're doing a sport, like balancing that, and then homework, or like if they're in any other extracurricular activities, it's like that anxiety and all that stuff, and then also comparing ourselves with a lot of people, like different people. I feel like that's something that I go through a lot, and that is definitely a battle that I go through, is comparing myself, like, oh, I don't think I'm beautiful because this person's prettier, this person, you know. But I think like especially with social media and stuff, like that is really, yeah.
Yeah, you see a lot of different people, a lot of different people, a lot of different looks,
a lot of different lives. You're like, oh, I wish I want that. I want that. And they start feeling like not desperate, but they start feeling like
hopeless.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. And I think a lot of parents tend to let social media just run free in their kids' life because it entertains them. But we've had a love-hate relationship with social media. I think that we've grown a little bit better. We still, like, you notice when it's affecting you, and I think that you probably do a better job of like managing it now, whereas before, like, you know, it was a love-hate relationship, like social media, and I didn't I didn't understand much about social media until you got into it. Like when Musically was out, I had no idea what the heck Musically was. And like, I thought she was just making videos to be, you know, cool, but she was literally out here being seen by millions of people, and I didn't even know, or, you know, or potentially millions of people, until then I noticed, and I learned what it was. And I was like, holy crap. And then ever since then, it's been downhill.
Literally.
But we're on TikTok now, so we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But I just want to take a moment and just, for parents that are in the middle of it, I want to take a moment and reassure you that I'm over here looking this way. I want to reassure you that there is hope. A kid struggling means that they're still fighting. Doesn't mean that they're broken or that they cannot be fixed. It requires your patience, your love, and understanding that what they're going through, like the stuff that Mariah just mentioned, like going through the comparisons of themselves, like our language matters. So imagine your child coming home after feeling inadequate or incapable, and you know they come home, and you know we also say that they're not good enough, and we also compare them to someone else. It kind of reinforces the negative that they experience, and it's important that we learn to talk with love and affirmations. And that's something that I had to learn, is I had to watch my tongue and how I talk, and be mindful that kids aren't made of like steel. And even if they are made of steel, still can bend, still can break, still can be shaved down. And when we are negligent with our words, it does that. So let's talk about coping strategies. I think that everybody wants to know what are things that you did, and what are things that I did as a parent to help you through your coping. So what are some things that you did to cope that you found that were helpful?
I think the therapy was really helpful for me. Like being able to talk to someone outside of you, because I feel like, what if I wanted to talk about you? No, I'm joking. No, but and whenever we went to the hospital and they like were asking me, like, or not asking me, but we like came up with some things too, and one of them was like listening to music. I think listening to music has been really helpful in my life, because I feel like there's like all types of music for whatever you're feeling. So I feel like that kind of helps me. And it's like, you know, you can't be sad and listening to hype music. Like that just can't happen. So I feel like if I'm down, like I'll like listen to some, you know, some hype music, and I'll be like, I'll be fine. Like, you know, like, or if I'm like sometimes I'll just listen to sad music. I'll just sit in it, because sometimes you just gotta sit in it. But that was really helpful for me too. And us, like, you remember whenever we did those like check-ins, daily check-ins and stuff, those were like really helpful. Like we talked about our highs and the low and 3 things I liked about myself. I remember that. I think that was like really helpful for me as well, because I had to really think, and I had to give myself like affirmations. It's different when it's coming from somebody else and coming from yourself, because when it's coming from yourself, then it's like it's in you, and so like you like, if it's like from somebody else, you can be like, oh, you're just lying. But if it's like from you, you have to see it, in order to actually think it. So I feel like that was like really helpful for me as well. And us like talking through the day and talking, and I feel like the communication was really the best part, like was really like what helped me a lot.
Yeah. That's a lot of great points. And I'll touch base on like what you said. One of the tactics that you mentioned, like the check-ins. I really enjoyed the check-ins because I would normally, before then, I would send my daughter to school, and I would go to work, and then we'll talk about our day when we get home. And she's going through life at school. And so I started, as a parent, I'm going to tell you what I did to kind of help create like this holistic, well-rounded approach. So she spent most of her time at school. So my thought process was she needs resources at school. Mm-hmm. Luckily, she has a counselor at school, and that has other, resources that come in to kind of like engage with the kids. So she has a counselor at school that I was able to build a relationship with and let her know like, hey, this is what we're working on. And so she did regular check-ins with Mariah as well, when she gave her a space where if things get crazy and she needed to step away, that she had a place to go, that she could go and work through her coping strategies. So, and she used it. The beautiful thing is that she used it. And so that's in school. And then while she's in school throughout her day, I would, we did daily check-ins. And for a moment, at first it was like, she was just doing it to do it. I know she didn't want to do it. It was doing too much, but I was like, I asked her, what is a high that's happened so far in your day? What is a low that's happened so far in your day? And then give me 3 things that you like about yourself. And I asked her to do that. That wasn't in a book anywhere. That's game. Y'all got to pay me for that one. But not like, what I did was I kept her engaging with affirmations. So she had to look at herself positively, in a positive light. Even if she was lying, even if she was making it up, she had to kind of pull that from somewhere, to text it to me. And we did that for a long time, and to the point where it was like, it became a habit. It was just a normal thing. We knew that at 12 o'clock, it's time to talk, time to check in. And that was what we did. And outside of that, there was a period where she was going to a therapist outside as well. So I had an external therapist that she had sessions with. I made sure that we had conversations about mental health on a regular basis. Like if I'm asking her, hey, how are you dealing with this? So like understanding that she has a situation of dealing with or coping with stressful situations. So when stressful situations are on its way, we talk about it. When she is going to have a stressful situation, or when you were having a stressful situation, we talked about it. Whether it's like dealing with friends, dealing with people, we talked about it. And I tried to spend more time listening than I was talking. And when she said communication, I just shut up. I had to shut up. Like, that was the communication.
Learned eventually.
Yeah, I had to shut up, and I'm still working on shutting up. But I'm doing a better job of having. I can have a conversation about how she feels easier, and it's a regular thing. Like we talk about more about how we feel about things than what it is that happened, and so I can tell you that me and Mariah has even closer. But I used to think like we were so close back then. And then when I was in the midst of fighting for her, like when I say 365 days, bro, like we count. She kept track. She was like, it's been, she kept a tally of every day of how many days that you did not self-harm in the first, like what, 400 and some days, 450 days, almost, 460, 470 days. But she literally tallied, and every milestone we celebrated.
Yeah.
Like we celebrated on her 100th, 200th, 300th, 357th. And we celebrated those milestones. I was there. We were there together celebrating the fact that she did not want. And as she got further from it, like maybe I think, and you can explain how it was like the first maybe 250 days of like not doing it.
I feel like it was hard, like really hard, because it became like an addiction for me, that was like not my safe haven, but that was like something I felt like I could go back to, like if like I've like something kind of like made me feel upset.
Any of your coping strategies didn't work, you would be like,
yeah. So I feel like not doing it was hard, but like it kind of became a habit to not do it, like sometimes I forget I even did that, I forget that was even a thing that happened, and like all that stuff. Like it wasn't really like it wasn't something that was like in my head that's like, oh, I need to do this today. I need to do this today. Like it wasn't like, like it wasn't something I would like before. I would kind of look forward to it, but like afterwards I wouldn't. Like that was like something I wasn't even in my mind at the point.
Yeah, and I would tell you from my perspective, I was glad, and even though we were at 250, even though we got to 357, I still was on alert. Like I think I'm I'm on alert now. Yeah. Like I'm on alert even right today. If I see like, oh, like she had, you had the nail clippers thing in your bed or something. I was like, I looked in there, I was like, there's got some sharp objects in here. What you got this for? Like, and I held it up like it was drugs. Like, what you doing with this?
Right. Like
clipping my nails, bro. Like I gotta clean them. I was like, oh my bad. You're right. So like, let's go into, I want to talk about like, and she talked about her like the fact that she built a habit. Aside from how I supported or I was involved in that support of that habit building, what are some things that you did that kind of helped you, like you personally, that helped you get away from it, or like help you keep your mind away from those things as habits that you built as a habit during that time?
I think it was, I kind of like gave myself like the why, like not the why, but like why to not do it, like it was like I have these other resources that I can use, and like I don't want to do it because it affects other people other than myself, like, I'm doing it to myself, but it also affects you and thinking like on how you feel like as a father, you're like, oh, I'm like failing my child because she is doing this. And so I think that was my why to not do it, was because like I didn't want to hurt anybody else by hurting myself. And yeah.
Why do you not do it now?
Why do I not do it now? Because, I mean, that's just not something I feel like I have to revert back to, I feel like I'm in a better mental space that, like, I don't feel the need to do it. I don't feel the want to do it, like, and stuff. And I feel like I can come to you a lot, like, more. Like, I feel like I come to you a lot more than I used to, like, about, like, any situations, like, irritating me, or like something like this, somebody said this, something like this happened at school or something like that. I feel like I can come to you a lot more than just holding it into myself, because I feel like whenever I was holding it in and I wasn't talking to anybody, like I would tell you stuff, but I wouldn't tell you the depth of it.
Yeah.
But
Because I'd be like, oh yeah, I know that. Like when your counselor came, she'd be like, oh, did you hear about this? I was like, oh yeah, I know this, but did you know this? And I was like, oh, I didn't know that part. She didn't tell me that part.
Yeah,
You know?
I feel
So,
like that, like telling you really helped a lot. Like
talking to me about the details of the situations and how it made you feel, and I think now, even when things like this, to be fair or to be honest with y'all, it's not about this whole thing that we're talking about. Is not saying that your child won't feel those feelings ever again. This is specifically talking about that they will be stronger. They could be stronger in coping with those feelings, because sometimes Mariah, she still reaches out to me at random times and be like, Dad, I'm having a hard time dealing with this, or like, I'm overwhelmed right now. And, she would call me and I would stop everything at work and I would sit with her and tell her, give her some coping strategies if I could. Or I would say, hey, like, take a second, take a breath, go to the bathroom, get some water, throw it on your face. Like, whatever. If there was these moments where she could not handle it, she reached out to me, and I would drop everything to make sure that she could get back to what she was doing. And then I know that that's the case. And I want to tell you, parents, that if you're blowing off your child as a means of inconvenience, to say like, hey, go and figure it out. These emotional things teens can't figure out by themselves. It's a world of that we didn't teach them for. You can't prepare them for, because they just feel it and they don't know what to do with these emotions. So I encourage you to make sure you keep an open conversation with your kids. Speak directly to your teens and let them know how they are not alone, and let them know how they are more than their struggle. And I think that's how we kind of like approached it when I had a conversation, and saying like, you are feeling these things, you are doing these things for these feelings, but it does not define you. And that character, like separating the person from the things that they're doing and letting them know, like, you did the things and I care more about you than the fact that you did the things. Like, you're not in trouble that you did the things. I am just here because I am concerned and I love you. And the goal is to make progress and not perfection. And so that was an issue that I had earlier on, because I was expecting that by me telling her stuff, that it would fix. It was a practice. It became a practice as I learned I had to be more involved. It became a practice. And like when you take out perfection and letting your child know that they are going to make more mistakes, they're going to potentially go back into the things, and we're going to keep on trying, even if that thing happens, is very important. So, like, as you heard Mariah say, she found a safe person. And she has multiple safe people, right? For different levels of conversation. She can talk to a counselor. She can talk to Alma. She can talk to me. She can talk to her friends. And she's kind of dwindled her friend list and have certain people that she talked to. But I think that it makes a big difference for your child to have safe people, even if you're not the one that is safe for them. And that was probably the hardest thing for me to grasp out of this whole thing, was that I was not your protector. Your village was your protector. I couldn't protect you by myself. I could not protect you by myself, and I had to literally, I never asked for help. And this was one of those situations where I had no answers. I couldn't protect you, and I had to scream out to the world, somebody, I need help. I need some support. And I forgot your counselor's name, but I went and had a meeting, having a meeting with her. And
which one?
The middle school one.
Miss Williams.
Miss Williams. Yeah. I had a meeting with her, and I walked into this office. I'll tell y'all the story because I love telling stories. Walked into this office, and I seen this board, this circle, this matrix of emotion words. And I looked at these things and I was like, I only know 5. Melancholic,
Right.
good, bad, happy, sad, angry. But it was like eons of all these different words. And that opened me up to even want to do therapy. When I seen you struggling, it made me want to address my struggle too. Because I've never healed my inner child. Mm. And the stuff that you were going through, I never actually sought support for it. And so I've been in therapy now too for almost a year, I think. Mm-hmm. So let me go a little further here. And so we've already talked about building a support system, empowering your team to choose healing, and making sure that you are speaking love into your kids. Let's talk about like some words to leave our listeners for the journey ahead. Like, what do you want? What do you think teens want in their journey from their parents? Like, what do you think they would like to have from their parents for kids? And this is like a general statement. It's very hard to answer, but it's like a generalized statement. What do you think that teens want from their parents when they're struggling with coping with emotions?
I think teens want like to be able to have that open communication without feeling like their parents are going to be mad or their parents are going to judge them or like their parents are going to send them away or something. I feel like that was my big fears. I thought I was going to be sent away.
Bro, thought I just got money to ship you off, bro. Now you stuck.
Yeah, like I feel like that is definitely something like teens want, you know? Mm-hmm. Like they want to feel that they are loved still and that, you know, like they're still your child, they're still your baby, like even
if they
though
made a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like they don't want to feel demeaned. Is that the word I'm thinking of? They don't want to feel demeaned because of the pain that they're going through. That'd be weird. But like, yeah, they don't want to be judged on their pain, you know?
Yeah.
Like
that's fair.
They want to be understood. Mm-hmm. And like they want to be understood. I feel like that's a good.
Man, that's good. And I feel like parents have a hard time with that. Especially dads, because we're not taught to really understand emotions either. Yeah, that was some good points. Understanding, you know, loving them throughout all that pain. Did you make a face? I caught you. Loving them throughout their pain and like, it takes courage. So what would you say to teens? What message would you leave teens with from this episode?
I would say to talk about it. You know, I know that you would feel like nobody gets me and like I'm alone in this and nobody knows what I'm feeling. But in reality, everybody's like, I feel like teens, like we feel not the same emotions, but like, you know, the same surrounding emotions, you know? So you're not alone in it and you can talk to your parents, you know, if they're open to it. If like, I strongly encourage you to talk to your parents and, you know, find friends that you can talk to about it. Like, even if they're struggling with it as well, y'all can have a communication with each other and help each other to get better. And talk to, you know, a counselor. That was really helpful for me, was talking to somebody in school. Like, if you're like, because that is where you spend most of your day, is at school, like, except for weekends, obviously. But like having some support system at school is extremely helpful. Having people you can go to, like, even if it's a teacher, you know, like a teacher aide, like, you know, something like that. Yeah. Like having somebody to talk to is so much more helpful than keeping it in, because keeping it in is just going to make it like so much more worse, because like you're just in your thoughts, but you also need to hear those outside words, instead of having to roam through all these feelings and all these emotions by yourself and in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. That was
Thank
good.
you.
You might be a podcaster out here.
Might be.
Should come back on the episode on the show more often.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But like, let's be honest, parents. These kind of conversations are not easy. It's hard to face these extremely hard conversations with your kids and navigating all the pain that it comes with you watching your child hurt themselves or coping incorrectly. But it just look at it as they are needing to learn a thing, just like they may have become independent with tasks. They can put their own clothes on, wipe their own butts. They can, they're potty trained the whole nine, but they're still your kids. And the next stage is emotions. And you have to be able to be there to have a conversation with how they cope and navigate emotions and deal with hardship. And these can lead to deeper conversations if you're having trouble with being close to your parents. I can assure you that by starting with trying to understand the concept of their emotions and the feelings, just letting them talk through it, they'll get to the solution. It got to a point where I was just like, and she would get herself through to where she needed to be, and she'll be like, all right, Dad, and she'll just dip, and I won't see her for another year. But anyways, but I encourage you to have these hard conversations. Because without them, you cannot know your child the way you want to know your child and love your child. So healing is messy, but possible. And love is always worth showing up for. So make sure that you are showing up for your child. And with that, thank you for joining us. 15 Minutes with Dad. My name is Lirec.
My name is Mariah.
And this is 15 Minutes with
Dad.
Yeah, thank you guys. Bye. And just like that, we've hit an end of another epic journey here at 15 Minutes with Dad. I'm your host, Lirec, and I am thrilled to have shared this time with you. But guess what? The conversation is far from over. Want to dive deeper into the Dadverse? Check out our website at 15minuteswithdad.com and join our vibrant community on Instagram, Discord, and TikTok for your daily dose of dad inspiration camaraderie. And here's something special. Subscribe to our newsletter at 15minuteswithdad.com for exclusive goodies and behind-the-scenes peeks you won't find anywhere else. Got a burning question or a dad moment that made you proud? We're all ears. Submit your questions and share those special moments with us for a chance to be featured and shout out on our show. It's your time to shine in our dad community, so tap in with our Discord, and our server is at 15 Minutes with Dad. So tap in for that. Engage with the community, and you will be featured on our show. Each week we will do another feature, so join in. Love today's episode. Spread the love by sharing it with a friend and leaving us a review. Let's get the word out and grow our awesome dad family, because guess what? When you give us a review and you rate our podcast, you give everybody the chance to enjoy what you've enjoyed about this podcast as well. So mark your calendars, because new episodes drop every Thursday of the week. Ready for more heartwarming stories, laughs, and dad wisdom? We can't wait to have you back. But until next time, keep being the amazing dad you are. Every day is a new adventure and every moment is special. Catch you on the next episode. Love, peace, and chicken grease.